This is my Pagani Huayra Roadster wheel, and these are knives that we made from it. So many of you guys know that I like to modify my cars. Even the hypercars that I own typically get modified, which means I've got kind of a whole warehouse full of parts and extra wheels and accessories and exhausts and stuff like that. And it's all just kind of sitting around collecting dust. And these are like extremely valuable, really cool pieces of art. But I've been looking for a way to kind of repurpose some of this stuff and share it with other people. And so we have sought out like the highest, level artisans in the world. And we're gonna be repurposing things like this Pagani wheel that we have here in my buddy Nate's shop. This is the very first attempt of mine at integrating pieces of my hypercars into new products. And so we actually were introduced to Nate the Blade Maker, at Nate the Blade Maker. And Nate is the absolute preeminent knife maker here in Utah. And so Nate, walk us through kind of what we're doing with this thing.
Well, I remember when we found out that the word stiletto sounded really good with Pagani, that we were thinking of making something that, evokes a stiletto feel. So we were thinking we'd build some boot knife sized, some scaled down, easy carry, EDC style stilettos.
And stiletto is kind of, is it an Italian, like where did stiletto come from,
Well, the history of the Italian word stiletto really just means dagger.
And this is an unbelievable, can I see this really quick?
Please.
So walk us through then. I mean, obviously you have super high grade steel here on the end. You have this cowhide handle.
Oh yeah.
And then the Pagani will actually be integrated into the handle, is that correct?
What we wanted to do, so the challenge was how can we incorporate a cool item like this into the build of the knife and have it be prominent and not just a shim that I put in the handle somewhere. You thought it would be a cooler idea to actually melt it and cast it into a shape. And I thought well, why don't we do the pommel here? So I'm going to melt this down and I'm going to pour it into a tube and then I will machine it and make these little caps.
In addition to that, so this wheel that was on the car has done nearly 200 miles per hour before. And like there's like speed and history and art and like it's so many things, and now we're incorporating it into this stiletto knife handmade right here in Utah. The one thing Nate probably won't tell you is that he is actually revered across the country. You were on the TV show
Forge and Fire.
Forge and Fire.
This is back in 2017. I was on Forge and Fire. It was season 4, episode 17. I made something called the Kapinga.
Kapinga, okay.
Or an African throwing knife. It has 3 blades coming off of it. I had to forge it out of one piece.
Yeah.
And it was a bear. As far as the wheel goes, we're doing something unique. We're melting it down. And so I wanted to select from the pieces that I think are, they're the most featureless. Like this rim here.
Yes.
All of this on the outside is like, if I cut off a piece that was this big, no one's really gonna wow, it's just a piece of aluminum at that point. The spokes are gorgeous. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill a couple holes so I can get my saw in there.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna cut this rim.
Okay.
Until I got enough of it to use for the aluminum. I've already added it up. I got plenty here to use for all 25 knives. And
we're still gonna have a lot of the wheel left over, right?
And you'll have the majority of the wheel left over. Yeah, we're talking just this outer lip, like right here.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and cut them both, and I'm going to carefully preserve the Pagani label
and the Roadster.
Yeah. So that can be done with another, the original. Cool. That stuff needs to be carefully preserved. So. Let's mark it out and start cutting.
Let's go.
I think we're blessed that you exist because I don't think anyone else would do this.
I've never heard of somebody cutting out. I mean, if you've heard, hey, let's take our Bugatti wheel, like the Pagani wheel, the Koenigsegg wheel, those wheels. Again, I'm not even sure what the value is, but the value to me is let's like continue this cool, piece of product forward. And like make new products out of it. I just think it's such a unique value prop.
Oh, huge. And not to mention, this is like one of many pieces of cars that you have. You have the original titanium exhaust of this car. You've got
all the carbon. We have all the carbon lips from the Pagani. Like we're talking about, what do we do with that? You know, like we could make more knives out of the carbon stuff. Like use that as handles and whatever. I mean, there's a wide variety of applications that we're looking at, but. Look, this is day one of the rest of our lives with this stuff. Okay? So, like, once we start shopping, there's no going back.
Yeah, there's no going back.
Are you ready for this?
Am I ready? Am I ready to chop up?
Yeah.
How much is this wheel? I
I
don't.
don't
You
even know.
can't
I don't
think
think we
about it.
wanna
You can't
know.
think about it. All right, we're gonna make some really. Good
How much
stuff.
is this aluminum? Yeah. Now we got a system.
Yes, we do. Yeah, it's going.
Actually.
Isn't that crazy? Look how light it's.
It is so light. Like I picked this up.
very
and I was
light.
Like, oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I did not realize.
So we're gonna figure about 1 inch of this is enough to do the cap on one knife. So I need 25 inches, I believe, total to make sure I got enough aluminum. And that.
You know, most people want lips on their wheels. I say we take all the lips off. Oh, dude, look at this. Wow, check that out.
This is how light it actually is.
Yeah, it's like really, really lightweight. Like that's pretty amazing, actually.
I better clean that paint off.
Yep.
Last thing I would do is cook that paint inside at that temperature.
Yep.
It would totally destroy. It would make the aluminum so dirty. It would affect the pore.
We don't want that.
And we don't want to breathe it. So let's. I'm gonna open this garage door up. Perfect. I'm gonna scrub this stuff with the belt and then drop it up. I'll hit it again with the wire brush just to be sure.
Yep.
If I were to put pieces of the aluminum in that kiln with the paint on it, it can make flaws in the final piece.
Yeah, we don't
a bunch of air pockets and stuff like that.
So what was the temperature we had to melt that?
1330.
1,330 degrees.
Uh-huh.
Holy smokes.
That's Fahrenheit, not
That's
Celsius.
Fahrenheit. That's
yeah.
Fahrenheit. Yeah, Celsius. That would be like.
A little bit different. Yeah, that would be.
I actually don't know because it's like a scale from 0, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it like changes. I don't know.
It's supposed to be easier. You know.
We're Americans, okay? We don't use Celsius. Come on.
Now let's take a look.
Okay,
I'm not gonna pour just yet, but let's just pull it out, stir it, see how it's looking.
Liquid Pagani. We could bottle that up, sell it as a
Oh,
drink.
look at that come apart.
Ooh.
So it's a little bit chunky.
Okay.
A little bit chunky. When we want it watery before we pour it.
Okay.
So right about where my fingernail is about like where it filled to.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
Molten Pagani.
That was cool. I
So
know,
cool,
dude.
actually.
I know.
yeah. So that's what I'll work on.
It doesn't really stick to the sides of the crucible.
No, that's why we use graphite.
Ah, okay.
Graphite,
You
it
can just
doesn't.
peel it off.
You just peel it off, and it doesn't leave like
that's
a
cool.
residue.
That's cool. Hey guys, I am back here with Nate the Blade Maker, and we are looking at the finished product of this insane Pagani knife. Nate, walk us through, like, what has this turned out to be?
Okay. Happy to share with you the details. So, I made these. They're about 7.5 inches overall, 8 inches including the sheath. I made them from AEBL steel from the company Udahome, which is a razor blade stainless steel. I stock ground them with a 2-inch wheel to make a 2-inch hollow grind. Blades are about 3.5 inches long and 3/4 wide at the ricasso. Fittings are 410 stainless. The handle is stacked cow leather, and the pommels we have cast from the aluminum from our Pagani wheel here. Overall, I've designed them to be an EDC carry. You can be creative where you want to attach this. I like to keep mine right here in my pocket.
This is like a kind of a fancier Italian version of an everyday carry knife.
Yeah.
Like and it just happens to partially be made from an actual piece of my Pagani car. The stuff that we have made so far is just stuff that I personally liked and personally wanted, and it's not usually like there's no market research, there's nothing of that.
Yeah.
I'm following you, I see your stuff, and I'm like, dude, it would be so sick to take a piece of my car and have Nate kind of put this together in this magical form. And here we are, and like I couldn't be more thrilled. This is, you'll never even be presented with something like this again, right? Like it's very unlikely that we're gonna do this exact same project again. Well, Nate, you're the best, man. Thanks. This is so fun. This was such a fun project. And I'm excited to see him in people's hands.